because we're reviewing. And as I just said, I'm not going to give you the formulas of the test. You guys need to come up with these on your own. I think this window does help. What type of things have we talked about this year so far? This section. What type of angles?
Like polygon conjecture, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the polygon sum conjecture. So some of this is going to be, I'm going to sum some stuff together. Okay, I agree with that. What else can I fill out on here? Yeah, exterior angles and interior angles. I'll say this is exterior. I'll say this is interior. Great job. That's good. Okay, and if I'm not summing together all the angles, what else could I be finding? Yeah, you could be finding one angle. You could be finding each angle. You could be finding an angle. And this is just generally speaking for regular polygons. Okay? You might be writing this down somewhere if you don't already have it memorized. So the sum of the interior angles is going to be equal to what? Please.
N minus 2.
N minus 2 times 180 degrees. Okay? And N means what? Yeah, N is the number of sides, or it's the number of angles, or whatever we need to do that way. But it's the number of sides for your polygon. So for instance, if you have a triangle, N is 3. If you have a quadrilateral, hey, N is 4. And we can go from there. Okay? Some of the exterior angles, what's that? N minus 2 times 180 divided by N, is that what you said? That's not right. Okay. What's really cool about that, this actually goes right here. That's right there. Holy cow, look how big that is.
Whoa, well, right.
You probably don't want to do that big. That's kind of nuts. Oh boy. Just let it slide there, that's fine. Wow. Okay, it's going to be big. So there's that. Okay, but the exterior angles, if you were to add them all up, the exterior angles are all going to equal what? They all equal 360 degrees. Okay, and the exterior angles down here, for each one, what do I have to do for that? Okay, so over here we took this formula, we divided by n, and we're going to take this and we're going to divide by n. This is just 360 degrees divided by n, on the exterior angles. Does that make sense? Okay. You need to have those memorized tomorrow. I don't want to see anybody writing stuff on desks. I don't want to see anybody writing on folders, writing on their hands, writing on anything else. You need to have those memorized. Yes, ma'am.
Is there going to be a part on the test where we're going to have to fill out a box like that? Or
Nope. Nope. You just need to use it. Okay. I don't think filling out the box is what we need to do. I think we need to be able to have those memorized and to know when to use them. Okay. Now, if you want, maybe on the back of the test, there's some room that you can maybe write that. That's fine. Not a bad strategy. And as soon as you get your test, have it written down. Tonight, I would encourage you, besides other things that you should study, I would write those things down several times. Make sure that you know those formulas inside, out, and around the back. Mitchell, can you close the door, please? Okay. We're looking at this review. We're not going to work on every single one of these problems, but if there's an A and a B, we'll probably work on one of these. Number one, Justin, what's our n value here? 5. N equals 5. What shape is that called? Pentagon. It says find the sum of the interior angles in each figure. Okay, so how do we do that?
N
N minus 2 times 180, right? Okay. So what's n minus 2? 3. 5 minus 2 times 180, which is 3. Times 180, what's 3? And that's 540 degrees. Okay. You need the degrees on that, right? Because it's degrees. Okay. Watch on your test tomorrow that you list degrees when you need degrees. Okay? Another thing, if you look on your paper, the directions at the very top say, read each question carefully, show all work, and circle your final answer. So if someone was to ask me, hey, if I just know it's 540, can I just write 540? Well, that's not showing your work. You're going to get points off. Okay? So I need you to show all your work, to show me that you know how to use these problems, that you know how to use the formulas, and you know how to do it. Number 2, it says the sum of the interior angles. Sum interior angles, okay, those words are in there, is given. Determine the number of sides, so that's the first thing. How you determine the number of sides of the convex polygon. Finally, classify the polygon by its number of sides. So there's actually 2 different things that I'm looking for my answer. Okay? Well, it gives me the sum. That's going to have to equal n minus 2 times 180, like so. I know the formula, and it gave me what the sum was. What do I do first? Bless. Nick, what do I do first? God bless. Okay, well, hey, there's an n right here. We're going to get the n by itself ultimately. What might we do? Just the algebra part of AG2 No idea. You want to help him out, Tyler? We'll divide both sides by 180 because it says 180 times n minus 2. Okay, so these will cancel. Hold on, we have n minus 2 equals, what does that equal for us? And ideally you have calculators in front of you, so what does that equal, everybody? 12. So 12 equals n minus 2. What do we do now, Tyler? Add 2 to both sides. It says n equals 14. Am I done with this problem? No. That's part 1. Determine the number of sides. What is a 14-sided polygon called?
14-gon.
14-gon. So my next answer here, 14-gon. Most people don't read the directions carefully and will not put 14-gon on there. Okay? You need to do that. Okay? Honestly, I would say anyone who has about a 70%, they could have been somewhere around an 80% on their test if they just read the directions and do what it asks. Okay? If you just read the directions, do every single thing that it asks, most people would improve their score at least 5 to 10%, somewhere in there. Okay? What's the measure of each interior angle? And again, it does say regular in there, so we know which formula we're going to use. We're definitely going to be using n minus 2 times 180 divided by n. That's what the each is. What's our n value for a hexagon? What would it be? N equals 6. So we'd say 6 minus 2 times 180 divided by 6. What's 6 minus 2, do you know? So we have 4 times 180 degrees divided by 6. What's 4 times 180, do you know? 720. 720 divided by 6. 120 degrees. Okay, make sure that we have the degrees at the end. If we're dealing with these, it is degrees. Okay, the last problem we were talking about the number of sides. Does that have a degree on it? No, it's not 14 sides degrees. 14 degree sides. That's not really make sense. But 120 degrees makes sense. Make sure if it needs a degree, put it on there. Okay. Next, find the sum of the measures of the exterior angles of the given polygon. What's our n value? N equals 15. What's our formula? It just equals 360, right? None. Ooh. That's tough. Guess what? That's your work. Identify how many sides there were. That's what we do for almost every single problem. Equals 360. Okay. It says the sum of the exterior angles, so I go back here. Sum exterior angles. I'm using that formula right there. That's it. That's it. Yes.
On every polygon equals
Yep. Okay. It says each exterior angle. It also says the word regular. So you know what formula you're going to use because of those boxes, because of those things that we set up. We know which one to use. So this is 18. Silas, how do we set this up? It says each exterior, it says regular. Which formula am I using? Just look at the boxes. Where are your boxes at? Okay? You take 360 and you divide it by 18, that's correct. That's your formula. So 360 divided by 18, what does that give us, Silas?
20.
20? So each exterior angle, if it is an angle, we got to put those degrees on there. Each exterior angle would be 20. I can't draw an 18 gon, or else I would show you that each exterior angle, it's going to be pretty small because the interior angles are really, really, really big. Okay. Any questions so far? 1 through 5? Okay. Find the value of x. Okay. Are these interior angles? Are we summing them together? Yeah. Okay. But first up, how many sides are there? There's 5. So we better figure out what that's supposed to sum together to be equal to. It's kind of a two-part problem. Let's do this times 180. So give us 540. Okay, so that's like part 1. Okay, that tells us it's going to be 540. Now, I would say 540 equals, well, the sum of the angles, I'm just going to start at x. I'm going to go around the pentagon here. Okay. I add up each of the components. That's, let's see, 180, that'd be 270, 370, 413. So x plus 413 equals 540. How do I solve for x? Well, I subtract the 413 from both sides. X will equal, see, it's up to 7, 127. Is that with a degree? Yeah, 127 degrees, what x is. Okay, 127. Okay, so there might be more than one step that you have to do. Okay, because we didn't know this was 540 to start off with, but we know that we're adding these each together. Going from there. Hey, number 2, part B here. Are we talking about interior or exterior angles? Exterior angles. Are we going to add them all up?
Yes.
Yeah, we are going to add them all up. This will be x plus 67 plus 96 plus 59 plus 86. What does that have to equal? 360. You guys know how to solve this? Yeah. Is part C any different? Not really. It just has an x and a 2x. We'll have a 3x as opposed to just an x. There'll be one more step at the very end, dividing by 3, but it's the same process. Any questions so far? Okay, let's go to the next page. I think it's important to read the directions. I don't know how to stress that enough, but I think it's important to read the directions. It says, mark each isosceles trapezoid. So it tells you, it's an isosceles trapezoid. That means something particular. Mark each isosceles triangle with information given. Then using the information and the properties learned in class, okay, so we better remember those properties. Find the missing information. Right cannot be determined if there's not enough information. Okay? So when it gives us information, we better figure this out. This is 78 degrees. We better write that down. PR, that's this whole side here, is going to be 8 feet. Okay? What's the measure of angle P? What is it over here? It has to be 78 degrees because it's a isosceles trapezoid. Remember, the base angles of an isosceles trapezoid are always going to be congruent, only if it's an isosceles trapezoid. Measure of angle T up here, how do we figure this one out? Say it again, Lachey. Yeah, we just take 180 minus that 78 degrees. We get 102 degrees. They are supplementary, and it doesn't matter whether they are an isosceles trapezoid or whether it's any trapezoid. Every single trapezoid, these two angles will be supplementary, always. How long is TA? It's 8 feet as well. 8, and write the feet down there. Just like we're putting degrees on things, make sure you put the units on here for feet as well. Okay, can you guys figure out part B pretty easily? Okay, it's basically the same thing. Okay, number 8, it says mark each kite with the given information. So you need to mark your diagram. Then using the information, blah, 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 the stuff learned in class, find the missing information. So first off, it says there's a lot of stuff that deals with kites. Okay? It says BE is 4, so this part right here is 4. I don't even know if you can read that. AB, that's this part up here, is 5. DC is 8. And angle BAD, that's this big angle right here, that's going to be 78 degrees. And BCE, the small part right here, is 17. Okay? We're going to have to take our time with this because there might be a lot of things going on. Refresh your memory with a kite. This side and this side are congruent. So if this is 5, how long is this going to be down here? 5, okay, that's pretty easy. This side right here and this side right here are congruent. So if this is 8 down here, what's it going to be up here? 8, okay. The diagonals, this long diagonal actually bisects the angles. So if this is 17 here, what's it going to be down here? That small angle right there is also going to be 17 degrees. Okay, it bisects this angle at the top. If the whole thing is 78, what are each of these two pieces in here? They're half of 78, which is, what, 39? Each of those are 39 degrees. Okay, another thing going on with the kite, these two angles, or these two sides are congruent. So if this is 4 up top, what is it down here? Also 4. Okay, and there's probably like one more thing in here that I'm not talking about. So these are going to be right angles in here as well. Right? All 4 of those are right angles where the diagonals cross. Now that looks like a big mess. So let's see what we can do here. Okay. How long is AD? 5. And we don't have any units. It doesn't say centimeters or inches or feet. But if it did, we know what to do. How long is EC? Yeah, I don't think we can determine that. E is the thing in the middle, isn't it? So that we cannot determine. Until we learn the Pythagorean theorem, then we can determine it pretty easily. What about the measure of angle BCE? Starting at B, going down and going this way. We take 17 plus 17, we get 34 what? 34 degrees. 34 degrees. Okay, and the perimeter, we just add up the sides and the outsides, so that'd be 5 plus 5 plus 8 plus 8. That's 10 plus 16, so that should be 26 units, whatever the units are going to be. Okay? Is that all right? By the way, a kite has tons of information. I'd spend some extra time looking at kites because there are so many things that are congruent or bisected or similar, and we can figure out the insides because it is a quadrilateral, so that if we were to sum together the interior angles, it'd have to equal 360. So we could technically figure out what these angles right here and right here are pretty easily, okay? We just label each of those X because they're the same, so we'll be able to figure them out. Okay. Now, what do these pictures look like? Yeah, it's called a mid-segment. We're talking about mid-segments here. Property of a mid-segment basically says that, hey, this thing is congruent to this thing is congruent to this thing. And if this is 5, how long does this side down here have to be? It has to be twice it, so 5 times 2 has to equal 10. Okay. There's a lot of properties that go on there to make sure that you realize how the 12s are related, how the 8s are related. And there might be some other properties involved too. As well, these are going to be parallel, so keep that in mind. Okay, moving right along. Mark each diagram, or the directions. Then solve for x using the given information, the properties of mid-segments. Oh, discussing class. We discussed them. We didn't learn them. We just discussed them. BD, this is 2x plus 2. AE, that's down here, is 2x plus 8. B is the midpoint of AC, that means these two are congruent. D is the midpoint of that means these two are congruent, so that means those are mid-segments. How do we set this up? How do we set this up? What do you think?
Would we do 2x plus 2 divided by 2 equals 2, no?
Think of it this way. That last problem we had, this one up here was 5, this one down here was 10. How are those related? One of them's got to be divided by 2 or multiplied by 2. I don't know which way you want to do it. So how do we set those two equal to each other? What do I have to add to it? I didn't say divide by 2 on one side or multiply by 2 on one side.
You could 2x plus 8 divided by 2 side.
Yeah, so we'd say this thing, we could say, hey, this thing over here divided by 2 would give us this. That's correct. So if this was like 10 earlier, since 5, we'd say 5. Those would be equal. Okay, I'm sort of just using the numbers from the last problem where x was 10 and it was related to the 5. Okay. So we can actually divide these by 2. So that'd be x plus 4. Remember, divide both pieces, this part and this part, by 2. That looks like a heart. Or a romantic. Kind of. Not really. Subtract x from both sides. We have x plus 2 equals 4. Subtract 2 from both sides. X equals 2. Then solve for x. I think that's all you have to do. But could they ask you to do more?
Yeah.
So, Nick, what else could they ask you to do? Yeah. Okay. So they could ask you to put that in there. That means 2 times 2 is 4 plus this would be 12 right here. And I hope this is 6. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 2 is 6. We can have to figure those things out as well. Okay? I don't think that's too much to ask. Part B, it seems really similar to me. You're going to set it up one way and then solve it. Last one's here, trapezoids with mid-segments. Let's do the very bottom one. Let's do part C, because I think that's the one that people seem to mess up a lot on. It says that TR, TR is that right here, is 5x. It says EZ, it's 15, that's kind of funny. And then AP, the bottom, is 13x minus 6. Okay. How do I set this up for part C? What's the relationship that exists with mid-segments?
So, bottom is not added in there.
Yeah, it's the top and the bottom added together, divided by 2, equals the middle. So you're just going to average. So it's basically like this. Top plus bottom, bottom, divided by 2. But the average of those two equals the mid-segment. Okay? That's what you need to remember. Is that a formula that's in the window? No. But the relationship is a property that we discussed in class. So for us, what's the top? 5x. What's the bottom? We divide this whole side by 2. And that has to equal our mid-segment, which is 15. Okay. Several ways of solving this, though. Is everybody okay with that setup? This is our top. This is our bottom. Divided by 2, that equals our mid-segment, which is the 15. Several ways of solving this. We can combine like terms. We'd have 18x minus 6 divided by 2 equals 15. Okay. Now, if we wanted, like that last problem we did, we could divide both these guys by 2, or we could multiply both sides by 2. It doesn't matter. It's just whichever way you need to solve this problem. For me, since both these are divisible by 2, I'm just going to divide them. That's 9x minus 3 equals 15. I had to divide both pieces. Remember, it looks like a heart, kind of romantic. It doesn't really look much like a heart, though. Oh, it's blue. The heart should be blue. Unless you're a smurf, maybe. Add 3 to both sides, that's 9x equals 18. Divide both sides by 9. X, ooh, again it equals 2. Okay. It does say solve for x. I know I wrote all over it, but it does say solve for x. Again, it could ask you to go further. It could say put these things in. So let's make this top part 10. But the bottom part's going to be, let's see, it's 26 minus 6. The bottom part's going to be 20. They could be centimeters, they could be inches, they could be a lot of different things down there. Just make sure that you're using the units if it gives it to you. Okay? Did we do every problem? No. Do you know how to do each problem now? Yeah, I think you guys have a good start on this. You guys have about 10 or 15 minutes in here, and you're going to go to advisory, and we're going to take this test tomorrow. I'm actually going to put the answers on my blog. If you want to check them out on my blog. Okay? I'm working on it right now. I figure in about 15 minutes I could be pretty close to being done. I'll get it scanned. It'll probably be up about 5th or 6th hour, somewhere in there. Check them at home. Just make sure you know how to do this. Tonight, study. Go over all the formulas, go over all your notes, go over all your homework, go over everything that you can find. Spend between 30 and 60 minutes just straight up studying for this test. You need to do well. Every single person in here, if you do well on this, your grade will go up a couple percent. Okay? Every single test is going to be worth a couple percent. Okay? You all need to do well on this. Yes, sir.